Good morning, children, and welcome back to our class. I hope you all must be doing good. Children, before we move ahead with the remaining portion of the story, let us first recap what all we dealt with in our previous video. Children, in our previous video, we read about the Mexican American author Marta Salinas, who wrote The Scholarship Jacket, a short story of a Mexican American girl, Martha, who was a merit holder since her first grade till her graduation year, that is, class 8th. She had all these years wished to earn the scholarship jacket. The scholarship jacket had a big gold S imprinted on the left front side and the name of the merit holder written with gold letters on the pocket. Martha belonged to a poor family of 10 members. Her father was a farm laborer who found it really hard to fulfill the needs of his family members. So when Martha was 6 years, she was given to her grandparents to look after. She is now in 8th grade and, similarly like her sister Rosie, expected to win the scholarship jacket the same year. We also came to know that though Martha came from a family of athletic and agile, but they cannot participate in any sports competition as they do not have money to spend on the uniform cost or registration fee, even outside trips. Children, we also read that the final term is about to end and all the students were eagerly waiting for the valediction ceremony to arrive. Martha even also described her appearance. She had described herself as pencil thin. She even told us that people used to call her by different names such as a beanpole or a string bean. While Martha was about to leave for her basketball class one day, she remembered that she left her PE shorts in her classroom. The moment she reached her classroom, to her surprise, she heard the conversation going on between her math and history teacher regarding her being given the scholarship jacket or not. Mr. Boone was convincing Mr. Smith to falsify records and make Joanne the merit holder because her father was one of the board members and also a wealthy person. Martha, after hearing this, was badly broken and was very upset. So, children, now come to page number 141 of your Unit 4, Section 2, and let us find out what happens next in the story. The next day, when the principal called me into his office, I knew what it would be about. He looked uncomfortable and unhappy. I decided I wasn't going to make it any easier for him. So I looked him straight in the eye. He looked away and fidgeted with the papers on his desk. The next day, Martha was called to the principal's office. Martha very well knew why she has been called. The principal looked uncomfortable and even unhappy, but she was neither nervous nor scared, but ready to listen bravely what he has to say. So she bravely looked at him straight in his eyes. But the principal seemed to be uneasy as well as nervous. Martha, he said, there's been a change in policy this year regarding the scholarship jacket. As you know, it has always been free. He cleared his throat and continued. This year, the board has decided to charge $15, which still won't cover the complete cost of the jacket. Children, the principal informs Martha about a change in the school policy. He told her that the board has decided that from this year the jacket was going to be paid for $15 to be exact. I stared at him in shock, and a small sound of dismay escaped my throat. I hadn't expected this. He still avoided looking in my eyes. So, if you are unable to pay the $15 for the jacket, it will be given to the next one in line. Martha was totally shattered. She was shocked to hear this and couldn't say anything, rather, stared at the principal in distress. She hasn't ever expected something like this to happen. Principal is still avoiding her. He declared that if Martha finds it hard to pay $15, the amount for the jacket, that is, would be then offered to the next nearest competitor. Alright, children, now let's read. I didn't need to ask who that was. Standing with all the dignity I could muster, I said, I'll speak to my grandfather about it, sir, and let you know tomorrow. I cried on the walk home from the bus stop. The dirt road was a quarter mile from the highway, so by the time I got home, my eyes were red and puffy. Martha knew it very well who the person in line was after her. So she stood still in silence with all the respect and honor she could gather, and with a lot of courage spoke to the principal that I will let you know about the same, but first I need to ask my grandfather. Throughout the way back home, she cried. The dust on the road made her eyes red and swelled up. Where's Grandpa? I asked Grandma, looking down at the floor so she wouldn't ask me why I had been crying. She was sewing on a quilt as usual and didn't look up. I think he's out back working in the bean field. Martha, after reaching home, called for Grandpa and came to know from Grandma that he might be working in the bean field. I went outside and looked out at the fields. There he was. I could see him walking between the rows, his body bent over the little plants, hoe in hand. I walked slowly out to him, trying to think how best I could ask him for the money. There was a cool breeze blowing and a sweet smell of mesquite fruit in the air. But I didn't appreciate it. I kicked at a dirt clod. I wanted that jacket so much. It was more than just being a valedictorian and giving a little thank you speech for the jacket on graduation night. Martha went to the fields to look for her grandfather. She could see him working hard in the fields, so she walked slowly towards him, thinking, how could she be the best? Martha went towards the field to look for her grandfather. The grandfather could be seen working hard in the fields. So she walked slowly, nervously shivering towards him, thinking how best she could convince him to give the money easily. There was a cool breeze blowing and sweet smell fruit in the air, but she did not appreciate anything. Rather, she wanted the jacket so much. It was more than anything for her. It was more than giving a valedictorian speech, a thank you note on the graduation night. It represented 8 years of hard work and expectation. I knew I had to be honest with Grandpa. It was my only chance. He saw my shadow and looked up. He waited for me to speak. I cleared my throat nervously and clasped my hands behind my back so he wouldn't see them shaking. Grandpa, I have a big favor to ask you, I said in Spanish, the only language he knew. He still waited silently. I tried again, Grandpa. This year, the principal said the scholarship jacket is not going to be free. It's going to cost $15, and I have to take the money in tomorrow. Otherwise, it'll be given to someone else. The last words came out in an eager rush. Martha was very nervous and shivering. She asked her grandfather for a favor. She told that the scholarship jacket this year costs money, which she has to pay the other day, or else it will pass on to the other student. Each and every word had a lot of feelings and sentiments attached to it. Grandpa straightened up tiredly and leaned his chin on the hoe handle. He looked out over the field that was filled with the tiny green bean plants. I waited desperately, hoping he would say I could have the money. Grandpa listened patiently to Martha, but did not speak a word. Martha desperately waited to hear the words which she wanted to hear from him. He turned to me and asked quietly, "What does a scholarship jacket mean?" I answered quickly, "Maybe there was a chance. It means you have earned it by having the highest grades for 8 years, and that's why they are giving it to you." Grandpa wanted to know, what does a scholarship jacket actually mean to Martha? Or what does she think about a scholarship jacket? Martha thought that her grandpa is ready to help her, so she excitedly answered, "It means to earn it by scoring the highest grades for consecutive 8 years." Too late, I realized the significance of my words. Grandpa knew that I understood it was not a matter of money. It wasn't that. He went back to hoeing the weeds that sprang up between the delicate little bean plants. Martha said that Grandpa silently refused, as he wanted her to realize the importance of her own words, the importance of earning the scholarship jacket rather than buying it. Grandpa knew that I understood it was not a matter of money. Grandpa knew it very well that Martha has understood that it doesn't have to do anything with money. That is, he was not ready to pay, or he doesn't have the money for the jacket. Grandpa went back to his work of hoeing the weeds. It was a time consuming job. Sometimes the small shoots were right next to each other. Finally, he spoke again as I turned to leave, crying. "Then, if you pay for it, Martha, it's not a scholarship jacket, is it? Tell your principal I will not pay the $15. Children, when Martha turned to leave from the place, she had tears in her eyes. At the same moment, Grandpa spoke. "If you pay for it, Martha, it's not a scholarship jacket. Do you think? It will not be then a hard-earned award. Tell your principal that I cannot pay $15 for the scholarship jacket." Martha was very, very upset after hearing these words from her grandfather, as he was the last hope, the last chance of earning the scholarship jacket. Alright, children, I'll stop here. I would be meeting you again with the remaining portion of the story. So, thanks for watching the video. Take care.